in your world?
I'm actually getting some people that are following through, looking at the videos, um, and a little bit of activity with that. I've been finding that I've been getting a lot of people who are just not responsive. It's it's really it's kind of weird to me because I feel like if you're in business and of course, I use page out of your like strategy book, and I'll just be, contacting them, either following up on something that maybe we did together, or just, asking them about something that they're doing. It's not specifically to try to like PPLSI all over them. Um,
Right.
it's more so just like, hey, um, do you have any other buyers? What's new with you? Do you have listings? Blah, 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 things like that. And these people are just like not responsive. And I'm just like, okay, so like, how do you like promote your business if like I'm in your business and you're like, we're involved in the same industry and you're not even responding to texts or phone calls? Like, it's just like, well, what are you doing to promote your business? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, you know, what I have been thinking long and hard about is kind of like an acronym to kind of promote or to kind of really fine tune my efforts and energies to make sure I'm getting in front of the right people
Right.
and developing the right partnerships. And what I came up with is PhD.
Okay.
Like, if you don't have a PhD, I can't talk to you. And what do I mean by that?
Okay.
You got to be poor, hungry, and determined.
Okay. I like
Now,
it. I like
that's
it.
I'm looking for people who are poor, hungry, and determined. When I say poor, I don't necessarily mean like a poverty mindset, right? I don't want people to get it
Right.
twisted.
Yeah.
But I mean, individuals who are still like, look, I need to level up. I'm not happy with my situation. I'm not happy with the current modus operandus, and I'm looking to take my business. I'm looking to take me personally to the next level,
Okay.
right? And so I'm looking for people who are feeling like, because you can be earning 100K and feel poor. You can be earning 250 and feel poor. You can be earning $1 million and feel poor because a lot of people are earning, I don't know, 100K, 250, a million, but they're spending 130% of everything they earn.
Yeah,
So I'm
absolutely.
looking, so I'm looking for those individuals who are like, look, I feel like I'm in a poor state and I need to level up. People who are hungry, um, hungry and just have voracious appetites for information, voracious appetites for frameworks, resources. They're looking for individuals who are looking to level up just like they are.
Right.
And when you're hungry, you don't let a lead go by. When you're hungry, you respond to that text message, you respond to that phone call, you respond to that invite. Um, Especially if it's coming from someone that is leveling up and growing and about that life, right? Um, I was talking to somebody that we know in common recently, and the moment the conversation veered towards you, they were like, "Look, she about it." Like, he was like, "She's savage. She's about getting to the money, about helping people, about building her business. You bring her in when you need to get stuff done, right? Not when you want to just sit, talk, and chat." So that's what I mean, right?
Right.
I had a conversation with someone earlier today. He's doing very well as an entrepreneur. I mean, relatively speaking, in comparison to everyone else. He's
Hmm.
knocking down six figures, great reputation, working on projects, doing things in his ecosystem. He works in logistics and trucking,
Okay.
has regular cash flow, and he's dealing with the same problems that everyone else is dealing with, right?
Hmm.
Um, how do I scale? How do I find the right talent? How do I put the right butts in the right seats? But it's like every time I talk to him, all he wants to do is talk. Like, I spoke with him today, and I was like, bro, it's time to have I'm here off of Woodward, and so the element might start cutting up here. You gotta be watching what's going on around me. Anyway,
Oh God.
um,
Look,
but in any respect, I mean, look, even in Midtown, you gotta have your head on the
I
swivel
mean, of course,
sometimes.
you
But
always have to have your head on a swivel. I don't care where
yeah,
you That's
Yeah.
just
So,
that's just what it is.
but I
So,
called him up. I'm like, bro, it's time to schedule some appointments. It's time to get some private business reception scheduled. It's time to start getting your business in front of more people. And he's like, oh, I thought we were just scheduling another meeting so we can talk more about it. It's like, nah, bro, I'm not calling you up to talk. We
have
done
a
talked
meeting
and
about a meeting.
yeah, like no, that's not about
No,
to
no, no,
happen.
no, no, no.
No, I called you up to get into activity mode, right? And it
Right.
was obvious to me he wasn't hungry. He's not ready to take all out massive action to level his business up, right? And then of course, determined, I'm looking for people who are like, look, unless the house is burning down, unless, someone has my children, my spouse, or a loved one held hostage, look, I'm going to push through this because we all know the BS.com comes for all of us. We all know that just because you're successful as an entrepreneur does not mean death and disability is going to stop. It doesn't mean disappointment is going to stop. It doesn't mean betrayal and people not showing up and as their best selves and hurdles and haters and just all manner of obstacles aren't going to pop up in your life. You have to have a certain degree of determination that I'm going to get this done regardless. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to
Right.
feel the pain and do it anyway. So if you're not poor, hungry, and determined, if you don't pass that sniff test, man,
Yeah.
look,
I mean, no sacabo.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes it's not even a matter of promoting yourself. It's because I mean your reputation precedes you. So it's not like promotion is your issue. It's not like people don't know your value prop or they don't value it, right? Sometimes it's you making a conscious decision to pick and choose who you're going to spend your time having conversations with and building with. And if they're not PhD, they moving too slow.
Right.
I'll catch up with you. The bus is moving. The train's taking off from the train station. You get on here or you don't, but we are going to keep it moving. And I'm not going to slow down for you. I'll reach behind to see if you're willing to pass the baton or willing to share the baton, whatever the case may be, to see if we want to finish this race. But if I reach back and you don't grab the baton, come on. You know what I mean? Like, we'll have time for that. So, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
I agree. Yeah. And I think sometimes too, like some of the things that you've kind of drilled into the group, as far as like being quick to just cut something off. Like if it doesn't serve the purpose that you thought it was going to serve, then you just got to cut it off quickly.
yeah,
I think that's very helpful as well because like you said, we're trying to level up, trying to bring on new talent. And if you see immediately that the new talent is over promising and underperforming, it's a bad sign. And you just have to be able to like cut rope and be like, this isn't gonna work.
yeah. When I was looking at your topic, that's where my mind immediately went. Like for me, I know what my experience has been when I
Mhm.
feel like things are slowing down. For me, 9 times out of 10, if things are slowing down in my business, it usually means one of three things. It usually means that number one, um, I'm not laser focused on my KPIs. So my
Mhm.
KPIs aren't in alignment with my goals. And I noticed once I stopped paying close attention to my KPIs, once I stopped paying close attention to the activities that move the ball the most, that's when the trouble starts. That's when things begin to slow down. The other thing is when you're an entrepreneur, like there's this tension there, right? Because whether you want to acknowledge it or not, we are social media entrepreneurs, right? Our business, a lot of it is predicated upon our ability to be able to garner attention and get
Mhm.
eyeballs and people to pay attention to the work that we're doing and the impact that we're having and all that entails, right? But what can end up happening is you're spending so much time um, having conversations, putting yourself in spaces, um, expending energy to be seen and to be known and to
Mhm.
show up in the right places and to have certain types of conversations that, you know, inspire and motivate and catch people's attention, that you forget the work.
Mm-hmm.
The work is what got you the attention in the first place. The performance is why you're deserving of the attention in the first place. The fact that you are meeting milestones and making progress and collecting success receipts and creating success stories, that's how you become worthy of people's attention in the first place. And, you know, I'm certainly guilty of it because I'll start having successes. I'll start seeing progress in my business. I'll start lining up wins, and then you want to talk about it. You want to share it. You want to
Right.
have conversation with people about what you're doing, but you got to be careful about that, because what ends up happening is sometimes you invite the attention, you invite the conversations, you invite the critiques and the feedback from people who aren't building shit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And what'll end up happening is, instead of contributing to your success and progress, it'll it'll actually slow you down. You
Yeah.
know, you'll wonder where your momentum went, where your progress went. You'll wonder, like, okay, why is what I'm doing not landing the way it was before? And it's because you're surrounded by a bunch of gurus and people. You're not gurus. You're surrounded by a bunch of this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people telling you what can't happen, or people, because they haven't reached a certain level yet, or they're not aspirant. It's like they start having a conversation with you. Like, you start hearing people saying, well, maybe you're doing too much, or maybe you need to dial back your goals, or maybe you need balance. That's my favorite. Maybe you just need balance. It's like, no, this is not the season of balance. This is the season of getting it. And when you're an entrepreneur and you decide you want to get shit done, um, that balance stuff has to go out the window. You don't know anyone that's leveling up and growing in any endeavor that has balance. Now, what it is defining your priorities
Mm-hmm.
and defining what matters most in your schedule. But that balance that goes out the window, the other thing for me, when I've noticed momentum has slowed down, or things aren't landing the way they used to, and it's a little bit redundant, um, but but it's all related, right? Because as an entrepreneur, the other thing you can do is you can get so caught up promoting the present and promoting the past. You can get so caught up in trying to convince and cajole and motivate and push people to participate and take this journey with you, to get excited and enthusiastic about what it is you do, that sometimes you have to forget you didn't do this for other people's enthusiasm and excitement. You didn't do this for the approval of other people. You did it because you had a mission, a purpose, a goal. You were taking aim at something, and you have to remember what that is, right?
Right.
So, for me, on the way to this coffee shop, when I was thinking about what it is you wanted to converse about, and I'll wrap up because I've been running my mouth, feels like 10, 15 minutes straight. But what I'll what what I would for me, the first thing I have to do is, I know I'm getting back on track again when I get quiet, because that means I'm not having superfluous conversations anymore. That means when I get quiet, when I stop talking, that means I'm doing,
Right.
which is the engine that runs everything. And when I start doing, when I start executing, when I start exercising discernment and not spending time, not having conversations with people who are not moving, I'm cutting the fat. I'm cutting the waste. Like, I'm not carrying people anymore, right? I notice things tend to turn around for me personally. And then once that starts to transpire, game recognizes game, right? When you're walking fast, when you're moving fast, when you're getting things accomplished, when you're getting things done, you attract people who are vibrating the exact same way. Because just like you, those people can't tolerate BS people. They can't tolerate talkers. They don't have any toleration for excuses. Don't have any toleration for bonding
Right.
and spending all day long talking about problems. Like, no, I don't want to talk about the problems. Hell, I don't even want to talk about solutions. We already defined the solutions. Let's just get to work. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Let's execute.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, if you're accustomed to the noise and the attention and the people around you, you might feel some kind of way because that also means you're going to be spending a lot more time alone. You're going to
Hmm.
feel like you don't have as many friends. You're going to feel like you don't have as many comrades around you. Like you don't have a cross section of cheerleaders. I mean, hell, even some people get comfortable to the haters. Like I admit I'm entertained by my haters, but I don't want to get comfortable being around them. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to build my building so tall that I can't even hear them anymore. You know? And so those are the things I was kind of reflecting on when you sent me that text this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that a lot of times, like you said, when you find that you've slowed down, it gives you time to reflect and to, like you said, cut away the fat and focus on what's necessary. And you're able to quickly pick out things that don't serve, the purpose at hand. So I thought it was a good topic just because, like, now that we're entering into the fourth quarter, I think a lot of people experience that, especially entrepreneurs in this space. It's like, okay, things are slowing down, things are shifting, and you're trying to figure out, like, okay, what do I need to do to either, jumpstart my momentum or keep my momentum, moving in the right direction. And I think a lot of it is based off of taking self inventory and saying to yourself, you know what? This, and this don't serve a purpose with what my goals are. This doesn't align with my goals. So I need to spend less time doing this and more time doing this,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we're talking about income generating activities. Because as entrepreneurs, you and I both know that you could spend a lot of time putting out fires and doing busy work that you try to delegate out to other people. But if the talent surrounding you is not able to pick up the slack, then, basically you feel like you're jogging in place because you're always going behind people and correcting their mistakes or their shortcomings. So it's very, very important to spend the necessary amount of time that you need securing the right talent to help you level up and to be able to delegate out those things that's going to help you generate, more business, more momentum, and keeping your momentum going. And even like during this last quarter, I know last year, like, I think in December I had like 7 closes and people were like, "Oh my God, like that's crazy. Like, how'd you get that many closings?" I'm like, "Because I'm savage out here. Like, I'm out here, I'm, doing what I need to do. I'm talking with clients, I'm talking with people. I'm going out and doing what's necessary." So I think that's really super important, is protecting your mindset and making sure that you're keeping your energy where it needs to be on point, and taking the time to reflect. Like we talked about that on one of our training calls, where like we were just discussing, oh yeah, you go to these, different masterminds and you do all this stuff and you take all these notes. But if you never take the time to reflect on it and implement a plan internally, like how you're going to implement this stuff, then it's just basically serves no purpose, because yeah, you have the information, but you're not executing and you're not implementing it. And execution and implementation are very, very important in any entrepreneur's journey, whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're working in the gray area or if you're, a 7-figure, mogul. Execution and being able to properly put a plan together is definitely super, super important. The implementation is everything, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Man, there's two things I was thinking about while I was listening to you. Um, there's an acronym that I used to use, GAS, right? Um, and I just added another letter, so I may have to change the acronym. But when I'm taking, the first thing is what you said. You got to have like, you have to have unapologetic accountability. You have to have savage accountability, right? First question I ask when my sales organization or some of my business partners start slacking off, or when things just aren't going my way, the first thing I do is I look at myself. And the question I ask myself is, what are the top 3 things I need to do to be productive? What are the top 3 things that will make the biggest difference? So whether that's the top 3 goals or whether the top 3 behaviors, right? It's funny enough, I did that yesterday. I sat down, I asked myself, okay, I need to hit a reset. It's not like things are slowing down. I'm actually in a really good groove right now,
Mhm.
but I want to move faster. And the first thing I did is, okay, what are the top 3 things I need to do personally as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as the tip of the spear, right? What do I need to do? Then the next thing I started thinking about was gas. Like, number one, the people I work with, do they get it? Do they get it? Do they get the mission? Do they get the purpose? Are they passionate about the value prop? If you're not passionate about the value prop, if you're not passionate about the impact, if you're not passionate about the goals, nothing else matters anyway, right? Um, because you're not going to be accountable, which is the A. You're not going to be accountable. You're not going to show up early. You're not going to stay late. You're not going to do the work when somebody isn't looking. You're not going to spend time in personal and professional development, making sure that you're getting better every single day. If you are not, if you don't get it, you're not going to have the energy and the will and the determination to do what needs to be required. Because people can get it, but they also have to be willing to be accountable too, right? And then the other word that I just thought about was coachable, right? You got to deal with people who are coachable, straight up, right?
I think that's
Um,
super important.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you don't have that ingredient in your
mm,
soup, then it's dead. There's
yeah,
nothing that you can do with it. You're just basically wasting time because that is super, super, super important. Having an
yeah,
open mind, being coachable, being able to be chastised, um, like professionally, obviously, and even
yeah,
sometimes unprofessionally. Sometimes you do need somebody who's going to be like, remember how you were saying you guys had that trainer and he was like cussing you guys out and he was like,
yeah,
yeah, you guys, don't even tell me anything. I don't want to hear nothing you guys got to say. Sometimes you need that type of brutal training and like mental brutality to like break through and be like, okay, you're having like an epiphany and an aha because you're like, okay, this person is like, they don't want to hear none of that. They're just here to like share the message. And and if you are strong enough to receive the message, then you're gonna be, on to the next level. And if not, well then, you'll be at the bottom with the rest of the crabs.
yeah,
So
yeah. And it's like entrepreneurs, because I listen to a lot of entrepreneurs online, and they're always, a lot of these entrepreneurs always talking about this cupcake fluff of, massaging everybody around you and making sure everybody around you is comfortable and making sure that you're responsive to everyone's needs and wants and feelings and where the wind is blowing at this given moment. And it's not to be completely dismissive of that, but you also have to create an environment where mediocrity and not performing and not being successful and not being accountable, the environment needs to be suffocating to those people. Like, you have to create an environment where A players or at least B+ players want to participate and want to be involved in it. If you're so busy, like, I don't know, coddling the C and D players, A and B players aren't going to want to be around them because A people want results. Like, we're not talking to, you know, this is not like a nonprofit endeavor when you're an entrepreneur. It's a for-profit endeavor.
it's
And
blood sport.
yeah, yeah,
It's blood
it
sport.
is.
It's
And
yeah, it's
yeah,
like do or die. And if
yeah,
the energy isn't
you
matching,
have to
yeah,
you have to want to win.
right.
I had to have a conversation with an entrepreneur a couple of days ago who was like, on some money isn't everything. And I was like, you know what? Let's have an honest conversation about that. Money might not be everything to you personally. You might be good where you're at financially. You're okay, right? Whatever that means for you.
Right.
But money and capital is the lifeblood of your business. If
Mhm.
you want to have greater impact, if you want to help more people, if you want to touch more people, if you want to um, be more influential in your ecosystem, well, it costs money to do those things. Marketing costs money. Bringing on talent and individuals who can execute, that costs money.
Mhm.
Um, Creating distribution, there's an expense associated with that. And you might be able to be on some monies and everything for yourself personally, but money is everything for your business, right? And, a lot of times I think entrepreneurs they don't want to have these tough conversations. I had it earlier today with somebody, you know, and I had to tell her, I was like, look, when we're doing social events, when we're entertaining people, you have to step outside the social event. You have to step outside the seminar. You have to step outside the workshop and realize that the workshop, the seminar, the luncheon, the briefing, that's a product.
Mhm.
It's a product.
Okay.
So if you expect three people, if you have three people show up, if you have 50 people show up, you have to treat those three people as if they're 50. You can't be on somewhere I only have three people here, so I'm going to half-ass. I only have three people here, and so I'm just going to talk about, well, we only got this many people today. No, 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 no. You dance with people who come, and you treat them as if they're 50 people. You give them the same love, attention. You deliver on the value prop the same way you would as if 50 people are in the room. I don't want to hear this. Well, we only have three people here today, so we just gonna do A, B, C, and D, or it's just us today. No, it's not just us. We here, and the people who are here, and they're gonna get that A1 experience. So I mean, I had to have that conversation. It's like I don't want to hear that language coming out of your mouth anymore when we're doing events. You got to get excited for the 2 or 3 people who show up just as well as when we have 20 or 50 people show up. You got to deliver.
Even
You know
if
what I
it's
mean?
one, like you
Yeah,
said, your energy level and the presentation has to still be top tier
yeah,
because even if it's like you say a 3 or 1 or 50, you never know the impact that the message could have on whoever did show up. They could share it with 10 people and they could share it with 10 people. You just never know. So, like you
yeah,
said, you want the product to be polished every single time.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you never know who somebody else knows.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and I'm acutely aware of the fact that when someone is sitting down in front of me or someone's, they all know 100 people that I don't know.
Absolutely.
And the greatest, what's the word I'm looking for? The greatest victory or the greatest tactic and strategy is understanding that the people that you have audience with, they are your marketers. They are your greatest advocates. Those individuals are the individuals who are the ones that can push your business further than anyone else, more so than anyone else on social media or who might be looking at your content on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. It's the people right there in front of you. They are going to be your greatest advocates. They are going to build your business faster than anyone else. And so, you know, but once again, whatever your deal may be, you have to be willing to have those tough conversations and tell someone, look, this is what good looks like.
Right.
And you're not doing good, or we're not doing good, right? You got to have that tough conversation. And last but not least, look, you got to ask them, do people have the skills? Do they have the skills? You know, there was a young lady that I spoke with about a week ago, and it was like, I don't know, I would call it like a soft firing. Like, I didn't tell her, I'm not going to work with you anymore. I didn't tell her kick rocks. I didn't tell her, you know, and it was a him too. It was another guy I had this conversation with. I didn't tell him that you suck and I just don't want to work with you anymore. It was more like, look, these are your goals that you shared. This is how we're creating fertile ground to facilitate those goals. You don't want to participate in a way that's required and necessary for you to be successful. You don't
Mhm.
want to learn how to do the presentation. You don't want to learn how to make a proper invitation. The person was telling me that, that it wasn't working. And so I asked them, well, did you use this script that I share almost every week? And she says, yeah, I use that script. And I said, do you? She says, yeah, I use it all the time. I said, well, tell me what you're saying to people. And of course, she starts talking. She starts telling on herself. Guy, the gentleman, same thing, starts telling himself. I was like, well, that's not what the script says. That's
Mhm.
what you're saying. Well, I am no, you're not. So you can't lie to me. Like, I know. I
Right.
can listen to you and tell whether or not you're reading the book of the month. I can listen to you and tell whether or not you're going to the trainings. I can listen to you and tell what conversation you're having inside of your skull. I can hear your soundtrack by virtue of the words that come out of your mouth. And you're not doing the work that's required. You want the success that we're having, but you're not willing to pay the price that we're paying. And success as an entrepreneur sometimes is a lot simpler than people think. Just do what successful people do. As long as it doesn't run counterculture, or if it's not antithetical to your values and principles, do what they do. I mean, it's really that simple. If I'm effing up in my business, one of the first things I'll do is I'll take inventory of someone who's doing better than me. And it's
Mhm.
not to hate on them, it's not to inspect them, it's not to critique them. It's to figure out what are they doing that's different that I need to apply to my business, right? And
Implement.
so, yeah,
Absolutely.
and so I had to have that conversation with them. I was like, maybe we do need to find something else for you to do
Mhm.
because you're failing miserably now. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur and put your ability to take care of your family and put your ability to be a solvent adult in jeopardy, right?
Right.
Maybe we do need to get that job. Maybe you do need to reconsider quitting a job altogether. Maybe we need to just hit the reset button and start all over again because this isn't working for you. And I and the organization, we are pouring our time into you,
Right.
and you aren't willing to be coachable and accountable what we're sharing with you. So look, we need to reevaluate this relationship, right?
Okay.
And it's no judgment. There's no judgment. I'm not looking at you like you're a bad person,
Right.
but you know, sometimes you have to help people be honest with themselves. A lot of people just they're not willing to be honest with themselves. You
Well, it
know,
goes back to what we were saying about accountability,
hmm?
self inventory, and being able to really be objective about your shortcomings because we all have shortcomings. Like,
Yep,
there's not a single person on the planet who can't say that they don't have shortcomings. We all have them. And it's just how you handle them and how you try to put plans together to overcome them that separate the wheat from the chaff. So,
yep,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's a lot of I used to get in trouble about this all the time. People would get so mad at me when I would say this because there was this whole thing that was just going viral online in the entrepreneur ecosystem in the culture where people will run around saying, well, I'm all that I need. I don't need to become more. I don't need to learn more. I
When were they
prayed
saying
about
that?
it. I prayed about it, and God told me that I don't need to be anything more than what I am. I'm like, you don't understand entrepreneurship.
When were they saying that?
Oh, you still hear? You'll hear people say, "I'm not going to accept that critique. I'm not going to accept that I need to do A, B, C, and D. I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to be coached by you." And I'm not saying that like literally, but I'm saying figuratively. You had a lot of people running around here saying that I'm all that I need.
Mm.
I don't need to be anymore, right?
Oh,
And I'm looking at them. I'm like, especially when you first start out as an entrepreneur, everything that happens to you or for you, it's a direct reflection of who and what you are.
absolutely.
It's a direct reflection of it. I'm where I'm at right now and I'm doing okay, but I'm not doing great because there's some things that I need to improve at. I'm not all I need to be to lead the number of people that I need to lead, to get into the spaces I need to get into. I need to level up my public profile. I need to show up in a certain type of way that commands more credibility and respect. I may not need to increase my work rate, but I may need to increase how I work and the things that I work on, right? I mean, all those things matter. It's like I know there's skills that I need to acquire in order to reach my goals that I don't have yet. It's and so you have to, so that's the prism, right? do you get it? Are you willing to be accountable and coachable? And do you have the skills?
Right.
And it's okay sometimes if you don't have the skills, but do you have the determination to go through the number of no's, to go through the amount of disappointment, to go through the amount of rejection that you're going to encounter, um, or just indifference to achieve what you need to achieve? And if those pieces are missing, if I smell that you're not cooking with gas, I'm going to start becoming a little bit more distant. I'm not going to be as accessible.
Makes sense.
And when you talk about like losing momentum and slowing down, um, those are the things that I'm thinking about. And of course, you know, the assumption is you have a real value prop. The assumption is your product or your service is good. The
Right.
assumption is you really are helping people, right? If your product or your service sucks, or you're really not helping people or making a difference in people's lives, that's a totally different issue altogether. But
Yeah.
if you are elite or excellent, if you're really, really good or great, because sometimes you have to ideate to get excellent and elite, you have to fine tune and make changes and alter some things. But the bottom line is if you can show receipts, then we can take that part off the table and focus on what we were just covering here. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times, when people take on that attitude, what you were talking about as far as like, oh, I'm all I need, um, it's like they're putting up their own roadblock
Yep.
because they're already limiting their mindset, and it's kind of a form of like stinking thinking where it's like, okay, I've arrived, I don't have anything else to prove. Well, it's not that black and white or cut and dry. It's more so of um being open to the opportunities that are being presented to you to help you to level up. Just because someone is saying something doesn't mean you have to take every single thing literally. You can take what you need and process that, and then whatever you don't need or whatever you don't think applies, you can, discard. But anytime, in my opinion, someone is taking the time to critique you and to pour into you, especially if it's coming from a genuine place. That's different if somebody is just berating you and just like being totally negative and pointing out everything you do wrong. But it's a certain way that the information is being presented to you. You have to respect that and you have to appreciate that, because a lot of people won't even take the time to say anything to you. They'll just let you keep jogging in place while the rest of the world is jogging around the track. Matter of fact, sprinting around the track, running around the track, and they won't say anything to you. So the fact that this person or whomever has decided, hey, you know what? Let me just give this person a little bit of insight, free game, whatever you want to call it. I think people need to really value that, because so many times people don't say a word. I hear people saying and doing stuff all the time where I'll know that it's incorrect and I won't even say a word because I just feel like I don't even want to open up this can of worms. I know this person is like gonna not take the information that I'm gonna present in the correct way. They may be turned off by how I'm presenting it, my appearance, my voice, whatever the case may be. I'm not even going to waste my energy on it. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
and we've all been there. I'm sure you have too, where you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm not even going to touch that one. I'm just going to keep it moving. So we've all had those experiences, but if someone takes the time to be like, hey, listen, Adrian, or hey, Jawan, I think, X, Y, and Z, I think you owe it to yourself to listen and process the information and be objective about it. All it can do is help you to level up. There's no reason for you not to be objective. And that's part of the entrepreneurial skill set that you need to level up and to take things to the next level. Nobody's arrived, nobody's perfect. Everybody has shortcomings, areas you need to work on. I know for sure I do. I have a list of my shortcomings. I'm serious. I'll be like, oh my God, this is um like totally not what this is not appropriate appropriate. You know, this is not what I want to, this is not how I want to handle this situation, you know, but sometimes old habits die hard. Old school values sometimes you know, have a way of creeping up where you're just like, okay, yeah, that's probably not the best way to handle it, but that was your first reaction to it, you know. But you definitely have to take self-inventory, you know, for
Yeah.
sure. Definitely, that's very important.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that, and I guess I'm kind of doubling down on it, maybe even niching down even further. And I know it's, like I said, it's antithetical to the times that we're in, right? Because once again, because the pressure and the need to be once again um in front of people's face, to be present, one of the biggest mistakes we can make. And this is where I go from other people and what the impact can be to yourself. Some things you have to keep close to the vest. You can't tell everybody what your master plan is. You can't tell everybody what your next 4 or 5 or 7 moves are. You just can't do it. Um, because not only will you invite the mediocre, not will you invite the birds to come and pick up your seeds and consume them before they have a chance to harvest. But you know what? When you spend too much time proclaiming things that you haven't accomplished yet, when you spend too much time um, vision casting on things where you haven't laid the groundwork for yet, when you are talking about things that you are not doing yet, um, you're not paying a price yet. Never mind what other people think. You're the first to hear your words.
Hmm.
You're the first to hear your lies. You're the first to hear your disappointments. And that's more important than anything, because you get accustomed to saying things and proclaiming things, and you aren't doing the groundwork. You're not doing the work. You know you're lying to yourself.
Absolutely.
And that will take energy from you as well. That will start to play games with your self-confidence. That'll play games with your self-concept, your self-esteem.
Your self-worth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you can be confident and you can be articulate and you can sound good and you can look good. But if your esteem isn't right, man, that is the worst.
I agree. That's going to
When
throw everything off.
yeah, because here's the thing. We can teach people the skills that are required to be successful as an entrepreneur, particularly in our ecosystem.
Hmm.
Teaching the skills is easy. We can help you gain confidence, right? By just lining up small victories over the course of time, snowflakes turning snowballs.
Right.
But the one thing we cannot do, that you have to do for yourself, is we can't give you esteem. Like, we just can't give it to you. That's something I can't give you. That's something I can't take from somebody else. You have to really believe that you deserve. You have to really believe that you are who you say you are. You
Absolutely.
have to believe that you are who you say you are. Doesn't matter what people think about whether or not they believe it. It matters if you believe it. And if you keep sharing your master goals and plans, and you know, you look up 3, 6 months from now, you haven't made progress, that will damage your self-esteem, and that will do more damage sometimes than anything anyone can say about you. Or it can be more damaging than what even what your reputation is, what the world thinks about you, and your reputation can be repaired. It can't. It'll take a long time, because in our society, and yeah, in U.S. society, we love to tear people down.
Yes.
We love to create heroes only to turn them down, to tear them down, right? So you can spend your life building this incredible reputation, you make an error in judgment, and people will forget everything you did previously, because we live in a zero-sum game. That's the way our society works. There's no in between. There's only winners and losers, right? That's and you can critique and get mad about that. That's like getting mad at the sun rising in the east and setting in the west.
Mhm.
But your character is how you feel about yourself. And the
Absolutely.
moment you allow your character to be damaged, that's a tough place to come from. That's a tough place to recover from, right?
It would be hard to recover from that. And like you said, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and only a second to tear it down. And a lot of times, if somebody's being judged by one error or one mistake or, one bad day, I feel like it takes a toll on you, period. Because then every time someone brings it up, you're like, okay, so this is basically like when they think of you, they think of this one negative incident as opposed to the lifetime of achievements and all the other things that you have accomplished in your life. And
Yeah.
that is a hard pill to swallow as well. Yeah.
It's a hard pill to swallow if you believe when you feel entitled.
Hmm.
It's a hard pill to swallow if you feel entitled. If you don't feel entitled, I'll speak for myself once again. I don't get upset when people critique the Juwan Buford that's present right now
Hmm.
or me 5, 10, 15 years ago. Because if you're still there, I'm like so far ahead. Like the work I'm going to be doing 3 months from now, the person I'm going to be 3 months from now is going to be so radically different than the person sitting here today. I'm good with you being distracted.
Right.
I'm good with it because that means I'm putting distance between you and I.
Hmm.
The other thing people have to understand too, and once again, because this can slow you down, this can crush your momentum when you've taken a blow like that, right? Um, that's when you have to, once again, this is why it's so important to be able to get quiet, where you can focus on the signal as opposed to the noise. When
Makes
that
sense.
happens, sometimes you don't need to be out here screaming and yelling and fighting and getting into conflicts to try to prove something.
Yeah.
Like usually when you're doing that, it's because you feel entitled to success. You
Yeah.
feel entitled to fame. You feel entitled to being influential. You feel entitled for those things. You've reached a point where you don't feel like you have anything more to prove. And that's the kiss of death as an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
You
Absolutely.
every single day, the rent is due every single day as an
Yes.
entrepreneur. And the
Absolutely.
moment you forget that, somebody else is going to eat your lunch. The moment you decide that I don't need to get better, I don't need to improve, I don't need to show up as my best self, I don't need to make progress anymore because I've arrived, you're only going to do one or two things. You're going to fall victim to the entrepreneur who's PhD, right?
Yeah.
Poor, hungry, and determined,
Yes.
or you're going to start pushing people down. Instead of building taller buildings, you're going to spend most of your time tearing down the buildings around you because you're
Hmm.
not growing, and that's the only way you can maintain your status, right?
And
And
sustain.
and then at that point, now you've messed up the ecosystem.
Yes.
Now, like extreme nepotism comes into play.
Yeah. There's an
Now,
imbalance.
yeah, now you're trying to pick and choose the winners as opposed to just creating fertile ground for the people who are supposed to be the winners to level up and grow your business or grow
Makes.
within the ecosystem and make the ecosystem richer for everyone else, right?
Yes.
Now you're just trying to hold on. I was talking to someone the other day and she says, you know, Juwan, I'm doing a lot of things that I'm doing right now um, because I have too much to lose. And I told her, I get it, I understand, but really you should flip that on his head.
Hmm.
You should be moving in a certain type of way because you have too much to gain, right? You have,
Positive mindset as opposed to the negative. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a
Yep, a
deficit.
calm, determined energy to
Yeah,
continue forward.
yeah.
Absolutely.
The former is a deficit mindset. You're moving out of fear.
Right.
You're moving out of like I said, people taking from you, you losing stuff, and But if you're in your right mind, if you're in the right space, I mean, yeah, you got to protect yourself, no doubt.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
you should be thinking about the next play. You should,
Absolutely.
yeah, you should be thinking about that next victory, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that yeah, someone takes a public hit like that. Yeah. Um, I'm thinking about man, I think about a number of different people, but the person that comes to mind right now more than anyone else is Jonathan Majors.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about him right now, right? How he went through that BS.com, got caught up, right? People tried to destroy his reputation. People tried to ruin his career as an actor. People tried to describe him with all these adjectives and characteristics. Same thing with Johnny Depp,
Hmm.
right? When he got into that drama with, I don't even remember the girl's name. Was it Heard or yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Amber Heard.
Amber. Yeah.
And man, people tried to destroy him. They tried to destroy his career. They tried to ruin him.
Hmm.
But what I paid close attention to is they kept working. You
Calm,
could,
determined energy.
yep.
You
He
could
kept,
see it for sure with him, especially because I did watch a little bit of like the court proceedings or whatever. He
yeah,
was very calm. He was very determined, and you could just tell that he was like, he was going to get through it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, some of my story is on the internet, some of it isn't. And I'm not at a place that sharing my story will hurt people that I love.
Hmm.
But I do think about my story in the sense that it wasn't too long ago in my personal life and business life, I was dealing with similar things. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, number one, you know my personality. So the first thing I was thinking is, I can't wait to step on y'all throats. I can't wait. Oh my God. You just keep hating. You
Right.
can't hate. Because I knew what I was going to do. I
Yeah.
knew what was being said about me personally following my divorce, and I knew what was going on in my business life. I knew already what I was going to do, and more importantly, this is why you can't tell everybody what your plan is. I knew the people who were doing the hating and doing the tearing down and character assassination. Um, I knew they didn't know what my next play was, so they couldn't prep. They couldn't be ready for it.
Right.
Um, and look, there's no greater satisfaction than leveling up. At least for me, I can speak for myself personally. There's no greater satisfaction than continuing to level up and looking at the people who ate from your table and doubted you. There
Yeah.
is not there. Oh man,
Absolutely.
it's this sweet taste of that kind of success is exhilarating. It's beautiful,
Yeah. The sweet
and
victory.
yeah.
Absolutely. Mhm.
And if you're going through some BS.com in your personal life, business life, whatever, um, the most important thing you can do is get really clear about what your values are, really clear about your principles, get really clear about your impact, what your value prop is, get really clear about how you're going to become more valuable. Put your head down and go to work. Because at the
Ab-
end of the day, execution beats ideals and execution eats people's opinions for lunch,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And you know, we don't even we aren't you the people who are standing your way, hating on you, running their mouths because they're not on the field playing. You can't do both. You can't spend time critiquing other people and play the game at the same time. The
Right.
bottom line
You're doing
is,
one or the other.
yeah, you won't even remember those people in 3 to 5 years. They won't be remembered, right? So why are you getting upset with them? They're
Yeah.
not going to be remembered. You know, they're going to be irrelevant. What people are going to remember is the impact. What people are going to remember is how you improve their lives.
Yes.
And they're going to remember your successors, right? It's the successors. It is what it is. It's the successors that ultimately have the last word when it comes to history.
I agree.
It's the victors. The victors get to tell the story, and you just
Yes.
have to remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, I got like 8 more minutes for my guest arrives here.
Okay,
assuming
well,
she arrives on time.
get wrapped up. Let's get wrapped up so you can prepare for your guest.
Yeah, I gotta get my shot of caffeine in. I gotta get my dirty chai.
Okay. Oh, what's a dirty chai? I've never had one, but I do like chai.
It's just a chai with a shot in it.
Oh,
Espresso.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Kind of like give you like a little pick me up.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Here's what it is. It's like when you've been up since 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, I'm not perfect. I probably need to find another solution for this problem. But I find that my energy starts to dip before like right around 12 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then what ends up happening is I get my second wind
Mm-hmm.
at like 3 and 4 o'clock.
Okay.
But between 12 and 2, it starts getting interesting. Like I'm
You're
still
like
wide
dragging.
awake,
Yeah,
but
you're like dragging a little bit.
yeah.
But you know
So
why? Because you're operating on a very high level. That's the problem, is because you're using a lot of energy. So it's normal to have like that dip. Because I feel like I'm sharpest in the morning, in the evenings. I'm dragging. I'm like, oh my God. Like, even sometimes when we have like our trainings or, whatever, I'll be like, oh my God, like that, it really takes a lot. And you have to like mentally prepare because you're like, oh no, I gotta still, I gotta make this happen. I gotta be present. I have to participate. I have to, take notes, put my thinking cap on, so I totally get that because I'm sharpest in the morning. That's when I do my best work. But late after, I would say 5 or 6 is, yeah, I'm winding down and I'm dragging a little bit. So yeah, I totally get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's crush it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm glad we had this conversation today. It was a pick me up.
I think it's really relevant to what's going on right now because this that we just started the fourth quarter. A lot of people are starting over, because you have like your different quarters that you're like, tracking your activity. And it's very relevant to a lot of entrepreneurs, not just people operating in the spaces you and I are operating in, but just in general. I think it's a really worthwhile topic and conversation that a lot of people are thinking about. Even if they're not verbally talking about it, they're definitely thinking about it for
Mm,
sure.
yeah, yeah, y'all. Look, it's okay to take a moment to smell the roses,
Yes.
but then unless you've reached the stage where you're at, I can't imagine it. I mean, I can imagine it's happening now, actually, to some extent, to a smaller extent. But I can imagine taking my foot off the pedal
Yeah, for sure.
after a while, but not until then. Not
Yeah.
until I get
Not
right.
until you're ready. Not
And
until and
yeah,
even then it'll be like subtle. It won't be like
yeah,
totally like, partially retired and like, no, you'll still be, doing a lot of activities, helping a lot of people, and doing what you're best at,
yeah,
which is helping people. So,
yeah.
and just like me, I like to have a sense of purpose and I like to have a sense of um accomplishment. I don't want to just sit around and, do nothing. I always like to have activities and things to do and things on my calendar. Yeah, it's cool sometimes to slow down and not have as much to do. And to be able to, enjoy other activities outside of work and income generating activities. But at the same time, when that's what you like to do and that's what fuels your fire, then you're never going to stop. That's just a lifestyle for those kind of people like us.
You hit the nail right on the head.
It's just a
There it
lifestyle.
is.
So,
There it is. All right, to be continued.
all right.
All right.
I'll talk with you.
Okay.